Okay? I think we are live now. Yeah? Okay, we are live now, so the world can see us. Welcome everyone to the Modern Chants event. It's a poetry and new music experience. It's in two parts. The first part will be on Zoom. It's a workshop, in our very usual, not so good visuals, not so good sound situation, and we will explore quite a few topics that are related to this, to the Modern Chants event. Then we'll have, the workshop will last about 30 minutes, then we'll have about a 5-minute interval. And after the interval, everybody will join YouTube live stream. It will be a high quality live stream. We have set up about 4 cameras here, I think, and some incredible amount of microphones. And our musicians and poets are now preparing for the performance part as well. So the performance will be a continuous event lasting approximately 70 minutes. So I hope you will enjoy it. And so just a few words about the Modern Chants. Modern Chants is a collaborative event. It has for today it has 8 creators all together. Really, I'll introduce you to them as we go along. And our main topic of Modern Chants is Cailleach, is a creator of Scotland or ancient creator of the world. She is a goddess. In winter, she is known as a blue-faced woman or dark-veiled woman. She has many faces, and in winter, at this very dark time, her presence can be very strongly sensed. And so Cailleach has created the lochs and the landscape of Scotland. And Dawn Wood kind of created or felt inspired by Cailleach present, and she written a number of poems and stories which you will hear in a minute. And you will also hear music which will depict Scottish natural landscape and some cultural aspects of Scotland, and all of these things will be introduced to you as we go along. But one of the most important things that we wanted you audience to feel that you also can take part in this event, and therefore we are starting with a workshop. During this workshop we will explore a few topics in relation to the music that's been composed. But before that, we actually, just before we start going into the music, I would like to invite you all to do a little of vocal warm-up because we will be using our voices during this workshop. So if you could just follow me, you can stay muted for now, but if you could just follow me and rub your hands, it's going to be really good and healthy for you. So rub your hands and then massage your face. Okay, very good. You can massage. I have glasses, so it's not very convenient, but I can still massage a little bit. And then very good thing to do is to do a big face like this, and then small face, and big face, and small face, and big face, and small face. Good. Okay, so we stretch our muscles a little bit. Next thing, let's do artificial yawn. If you could just open your mouth and try to yawn as much as you can. That's really good. That really relaxes you and actually settles you in. Right, let's move our tongue. Let's do like this. And let's warm up our lips and do like this. And let's do, follow my finger. When my finger is low, we will do low sound. When my finger goes up, we will do high sound, like this. Great, okay. Some articulation, let's say together, patika, 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 patika. Great. And let's do matika, 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 matika. Good. And let's do some wind sounds. Okay, now I would like to invite you to unmute yourselves, and when we unmute ourselves, we'll do a 30-second long wind. So if we could just all together do different wind sounds and do a bit of a wind wave all together. Okay, so do unmute yourselves. The little unmute button is on the left bottom corner. Great. And let's try to do it all together. Any sounds you like that sounds like wind. That's really nice, thank you. So the next piece, the first piece that I would like to introduce to you, it's my piece that I've written myself. It's Oracle of Many Winds. And we've done a few of wind sounds, and I'm going to show you a little bit of an excerpt of the score, actually, which unexpectedly looks like this. So the winds, there are lots of winds in Scotland, and to write this piece, I went on the journey to collect winds around. So I went to Isle of Mull and Isle of Gannetry, and on my journey, I visited Standing Stones, and this is where I found this wind, which I called the Wind of Standing Stones. To remember it, I written a little description. So it says, warm gust around your face and upper body, east-southeast, round shape, soft, green, gray, brown color, low pitched. And then there is this Gaelic name. I actually wonder if there are any Gaelic speakers in our group. If you are, please make yourself known. Okay, I don't think anybody is coming forward. In that case, it will be my attempt to pronounce this wind. So the way it sounds is Hu Ajays Air Yes. Hu Ajays Air Yes. And I especially like the Hu sound. Hu means wind in Gaelic, and I've been exploring Gaelic language a little bit in connection with this project, and I realized lots of words there are onomatopoeic in a way. The sound of the word depicts actual meaning. So Hu means wind, and so I also written this wind for viola. You can see some music notes here, and I would like to invite Katherine Wren actually to come around here, please. Katherine, could you come here? This is Katherine.
Hello.
This is Katherine, and so Katherine is, we will see her in a minute in much better camera view, but for now, Katherine, could you play for us the Wind of Standing Stones? Yeah, it's very nice. So a few more winds are there. So I thought maybe we could try and together the wind of the sea. There is lots of seashores around Scotland, and so each of the sea or lagoon, of course, they have their own wisdom. But this is the wind that I came across. It's wild, strong, aggressive, sharp, intense, grey with white dots, very flat, pointy, and non-stop west-north on your head, very high pitch. and in Gaelic it means west-west. It came from west-west-north, and it sounds like hu an hu, hu an hu. And I thought maybe we can try to do it together with our voices. So the way it sounded to me, it was like this. Can we unmute ourselves and do it all together? Okay, let's try. Great. Okay, I think this is exactly how it sounds. Very strong, very cold. And so how does it sound on viola, Katherine? Great. Okay, so there are quite a few more winds, but one more wind that I wanted Katherine to play for us is the wind of the fairies. This is the wind I found on the fairy hill. It's very hard to do it with your voice, but Katherine, could you play it for us? Yeah.
It's very hard to do the fairy sentence.
Great. Thank you, Katherine. Okay, we'll see Katherine in a minute during the performance. I'll leave her to get ready. And so there are a few more winds that I used in my piece, which I'm just scrolling through now. And when going around highlands and listening and looking for winds, I imagine the winds as the wind became like an oracle in my mind, as if there was some kind of language which I don't understand is inscripted in all those sounds that I'm listening to. And I thought if I could understand it, there could probably be a meanings communicated to me that could help me to navigate my life or my questions that I have. And I thought I wanted to invite you all to actually take a little moment now and imagine if you did have a possibility to ask a question, to ask Oracle of the Winds a question, maybe something that is bothering you, or maybe something that just came up just now in this minute. What would be that question? I won't ask you to share it with me, so it can be something personal. So if you just take a moment to ask a question inside of you. Okay, and when you have your question, please remember it, because we will come back to it during the performance. There will be a way for you to remember your question and ask the oracle. You can also write it down if you have a sheet of paper, or just try to remember it. And now we will move to our attention to Orkney. We have composer Gemma McGregor here with us. Gemma is one of the composers on the project. She's written 2 beautiful pieces of music, and she also introduced me to the to the culture of Orkney Islands. She told me about Old Norse language and Norn language, which still exists there. So Gemma, I was wondering if you could unmute yourself and tell us about yourself a little bit and about the Norn language that inspired your pieces.
Well, I've lived in Orkney for 20 years, and my music is very influenced by the place and the culture. And I started looking into this old language, an extinct language, about 6 months ago seriously. I'd come across it before, but so many people had said to me that the language is dead, you won't find the Norn words, that I got intrigued, and I thought, well, I hear a lot of words in the dialect that are not Scottish words, so I'm figuring they must come from Norway, because Orkney was ruled by Norway for well over 1,000 years and was only handed over to Scotland as a dowry by King Christian in 1469, which is not so long ago, and Norn was still in the mid-19th century. So I started collecting any words that I could find, and especially talking to old people and saying, do you have special words in your family that you think are Norn words? and writing these down. First of all, I came across a lot of bird names, because a lot of the names of the birds to me sound like the call of a bird. So these are interesting.
I'm sorry, Gemma. It's very.
Struggling to hear you.
I'm sorry, Gemma. Yeah, it's very noisy. Somebody's making lots of noise.
If I'm closer to the computer, is that any better?
That helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
All
Yeah.
right.
So if you could just repeat your couple of the last sentences that you were saying, that would be great.
Okay. Well, I started collecting any Norn words that I could find in Orkney, particularly speaking to old people and saying, do you have special words in your family that are dialect words that you think are not Scottish words? And I found a lot of names of birds that appear to be Norn words, and a lot of them do describe the noise that that particular bird makes. So that's an obvious link. But also names of places, and particularly names connected with fishing. So names like fjord, that means bay, which we probably recognise that one because that's a Norwegian word, or vo, which is a very common word in Shetland and Orkney that also refers to water, and weather conditions. And I've come across some written records, mostly in Shetland rather than Orkney, for the written records, but the more I look into Norn, I've now collected about 100 words, and there are more words in the written record. This language is not completely dead after all. There are a lot of words that are still in common usage in Orkney, and I've used the sound of the words and the bird names in the two pieces that I've written for the event today, one which is about blackbirds and the other one which is about ravens.
This is great, Gemma. Thank you so much. This is just so interesting, and I'm sure there's lots of new information for many of us. So Gemma actually did recorded a few words. Can you, Gemma, just tell us about the recording I'm about to play?
Yes, I wanted to get the words pronounced as correctly as we know in this day and age. So I asked a very unusual man in Orkney who's employed by Orkney Islands Council, basically as a modern day bard. He's a storyteller and a historic officer, and he usually speaks from the Orkney Inga saga, which is a 12th century story of many legends that belong to Orkney's history. So I went to him and he said, no one speaks Norn anymore, I can't do this. And I said, well, you probably know more Norn words and how they're pronounced than anyone else does. Are you willing to try? So over a period of a few weeks, we looked at particularly the bird names and the habitats that those birds would have lived in. And with some proof, I mean, we didn't do it with just pure guesswork. We did look into these words and how they should sound, and Tom Muir recorded them for me, and that also helped me with writing my music because I was interested in the pitch of the words that he said.
Okay, so let's listen to this. It's a couple-minute recording, but very beautiful non-language.
Ac nes Pegiterno I Scudi Allen Mouse Ma Fjord Kittic Air Scarfy Ed Hebling Nap Retic Diek Ting Whap Sandy Dunter Garth Mallymark Wick Baki Hammer Bundy Brim Soul Vo Bonksy Mucklegeo Goshawk Gawk Kra Vale Tiwabo Haggy Linty Bester Kalu Hope Teeting Brex Chaldro Often, Sprug, Stofa, Du, Kirkjevager, Raffen, Egglesey, Lavro, Quai, Strel, Scale, Chaki, Boo, Warren, Piddytoft, Yarling, Ling.
Okay, this was really beautiful. Just sorry, I just need a bit of a technical help. Chris, excuse me, could you make the speaker a little louder for us? Yes, please. Yeah. Okay, so now I thought we can maybe try and learn a few words. So I think Gemma prepared 10 words which are bird names, and it's interestingly in Norn language, a bird names, they will depict the sound that the birds make. So it's an onomatopoeic name in a way. So Gemma, if we can unmute ourselves again, and Gemma, if you could just say a word and we'll try to repeat it as closely as possible.
Arc.
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 Ma.
Ma.
Scarfy.
Scarfing.
Rittic.
Rittic.
Cake.
Warp.
Warp.
Mallymac.
Mallymac.
Bonksy.
Bonksy.
Goshark.
Goshark.
Hark.
Tiak.
Tiak.
Geldro.
Geldro. This is great. So I don't know if from just sound of our voices, if you could recognize some of the birds actually that you maybe came across in Scotland or wherever you are calling from actually. But remember these words, remember the sound of it. We will come back to this during our performance. And now it's time for us to move on to some singing. Before we do our singing, we'll do a bit of a vocal warm-up. So, very good. Clear your throats. So the easiest warm-up is to just a warm-up called follow my finger. So when my finger is low, you try to sing lower pitch. When my finger is going high, you try to sing higher pitch. Okay, you can stay unmuted and let's try to do it together with sound mm. Okay, so we start. Okay, right. Let's try to do it with sound O. Great. And the last one, ah, very quick one. Okay, I think we're warm up enough. So what we're going to do, we're going to learn a bit about Canntaireachd singing. So, excuse me. Canntaireachd, for those who might not know about it, it's a way of notating music in words. So it's in a sense it's a language that means music. Very onomatopoeic. Lots of onomatopoeic sounds here today. So this particular tune is called Unjust Incarceration from Colin Campbell's instrumental book, and it's a tune. It's a tune written to be played by bagpipes. But to memorize it or to learn it, people used to use this Canntaireachd verbal notation. So now I'd like to invite Joe to come here. Joanna Nicholson is our clarinet player. You will see her much better in a minute. And during the performance, but for now I just need a little bit of help from her during our Canntaireachd singing. So, Jo, whenever you are ready, if you could just give me the drone. Okay, so the very first word, hoen, it sounds like this. Hoen. Let's try to do it together. You can stay muted for now. Hoen. And so it goes hoen, hoen, and the third, haem, is a bit higher and a bit lower. Haem. Let's try to do it together. Haem. And the second line is pronounced hehin. So it's hehin, hehin, hehin. Let's try to do it together. Hehin, hehin, hehin. Great. Let's do the first and the second line together. Hoen, hoen, haem, hehin, hehin, hehin. Okay, great. Already sounds Scottish, doesn't it? Right, let's move to the line 3. So it's again hoen, hoen, the same. Hoen, hoen, and then we go to hyoem, hyoem. Let's do it together. Hyoem. And the last line is on the same drone pitch. Hinnen, hinnen, hinnen. Okay, let's do line 3 and 4 together with Jo. Hoen, hoen, hyoem, hinnen, hinnen, hinnen. Great, I think we're ready. So I invite you to unmute yourselves and we'll try to sing it together. For those who are familiar with Zoom, you will know that Zoom actually quite often randomly mutes one people and unmutes others. So it can become quite chaotic, but I think it will be fun. So let's try it. Right, together from the beginning. Hoen, hoen, haem, hehin, 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 hoen, hoen, hyoem, hinnen, hinnen, hinnen. Great, you are such a wonderful chorus. Okay, I'm so happy about this. So the way the tune goes, it's my little arrangement. I made it into verse and chorus. So I'll sing verse as a soloist, and when the chorus comes, I'll show it like this, and we sing this chorus together. So the tune goes like this: verse, chorus, verse, chorus. And actually, Jo, we will do both pages.
I knew you would.
Yeah, it goes verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus. So you have to sing chorus 4 times. Let's try. Right. So I start with verse. Hoen, hoen, haem, hehin, hehin, hoen, haem, hehin, hoen, hyoen, hyoen, him. Hoen, hoen, haem, hehin, 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 hoen, hoen, hyoem, hinnen, 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 ha. really ready, what will happen during the concert that you will hear Joe playing quite a virtuosic piece on the clarinet, and in the middle of that piece, this chorus will come in. First, you'll hear me singing verse, and then when you hear the chorus, from behind the YouTube screen, you will be very welcome to sing along this chorus that we just learned together. Great. Okay, so just before we finish our Zoom workshop, I would like to introduce you to our third composer. It's Emily Doolittle. Currently, Emily is actually here, but she's responsible for managing YouTube chat. For those who are watching on YouTube, you know that Emily is talking to you out there. So instead, I recorded her introductory video, so where she can present herself and her piece. So let's have a listen at this.
Hello everyone, I'm Emily Doolittle and I'm a composer and a researcher, and one of the things I explore a lot in both my music and my research is the relationship between animal songs and human music. I'm interested in animal songs that sound very musical to us, like Blackbird or Nightingale songs, but I'm also interested in the songs of animals that don't necessarily strike most people as musical right away. And in this piece, Gannetry, which I wrote for Joanne Nicholson, I wanted to explore the sounds that we might experience approaching a Gannetry, which is one of these sort of enormous cliffs where gannets will breed in the, I think, tens of thousands. If you've never experienced one, it's an amazing sound, and I recommend it. And one of the things I really like about the sound at a Gannetry is you hear these sort of very rich, guttural, timbrally, very interesting overlapping sounds of the gannets that are sort of weaving in and out of a very dense sound texture. But you also hear other kinds of sounds at the same place, often waves, perhaps some wind and rain, other seabirds circling overhead. And I was really excited to have the chance to explore this fascinating timbral world with Joanne Nicholson. In particular, I think the clarinet's an amazing instrument for exploring these kinds of sounds because you know, you can create wind sounds, key tapping sounds, very guttural, non-pitched sounds. So it's been a great experience exploring with Joe and with the other participants in Modern Chants how to create the sound world that I was envisioning.
Okay, great. Thank you, Emily. And so just before we move to the concert, Emily did speak about envisioning the sound. And in her piece, Gannetry, she also created this beautiful graphic score. And I thought what we could do, we could just very quickly look at a few pages from her piece. So one of the pages is waves. If we could, I'll just share it with you. So this is actually the exact page that Joe Nicholson will be playing today in the concert. So we will hear her interpretation of sound. But I invite you to look at this just for a moment and think about if you were to play it, how would you play it? Or if you were to sing it, or if you're not a musician, how do you hear this image in your head? It's a wave. And so there are a couple more images. So there is an image of the wind. We've done a lot of wind today already, so I guess some inspiration you can take from the wind sounds that we've done. Again, have a look at this image. How do you imagine the music sounding? And finally, we will come to the last image of this workshop. So it's the rain. I really like this image because it actually gives quite a lot of instruction, I think, there. If we can try actually to be the musicians of this image and try to recreate the rains ourselves. So how would you do it? I think we can do lots of tapping sounds. We can tap on our desktop, on our computer, on our bodies. There's a really nice sound that I want to teach you. So some people are very good at this. I'll try to do this. So if you just do like this.
Can we see your video?
Sorry, can't you see the video? Can you see me now? Let's try to do the sound together. Just unmute yourself for the last half a minute. Let's try to do it together. See how it sounds. Sorry, can't you see the video? Can you see me now? Let's try to do the sound together. Just unmute yourself for the last half a minute. Let's try to do it together. See how it sounds. Okay, well, thank you very much, everyone. This will be the end of our workshop, and we will have 5-minute interval for all of you who worked so hard in the workshop to make a cup of tea, and then you can sit back and relax and watch our YouTube live stream. So I think there might be a link. Yeah, Jethro Lindley has pasted the link in the YouTube chat, or otherwise, if you have registered through Eventbrite, it will be in the email, the YouTube link. And during the performance, all these things that we worked on in the workshop will be reminded to you. There will be instructions. So yeah, so sit back, relax, and just one more moment. While watching YouTube performance, you are very welcome to use a chat. There is a live chat, and you can give your comments, give your questions, share wherever you would like to share during the concert. We would be very happy to hear from you. So it was really nice to see you in the Zoom room. Thank you so much for being brave and showing yourself to the world. Quite a few people watched us on YouTube and saw how much fun we've had all together. And we will see you in about 5 minutes on YouTube, in about 5 minutes. Thank you. Thank you, Amy. Thank you. Bye. See you there. See you in the concert.
Cailleach Work. You'd do well to befriend her, the blue-skinned old woman, to learn to work with the 12 of her winds, to give nod to the lochs and the boulders she sculpts with the rocks she lets drop from the fold of her skirts, whilst she charms her deer to outwit the hunter, those floods are the spill of milk from her goats. They say that she washes her shawl in the squall out at sea, that her veil is a white field of snow. Learn to remember those particles sparkling. You'd do well to befriend her, the blue-skinned old woman, as you notice that shiver from shoulder to scalp, then from scalp to shoulder and down your backbone in the wake of her passing and circling again. Didn't your mother ever scold you for pulling faces in front of a mirror? The wind might change and then you'll be stuck. But there she is with her jowls like dewlaps, her one good eye and her rust-red teeth. Where once it was warm, now it's chattering cold. Where once I was bride, now I'm weary and old. The Cailleach and the Coldest Day. It's said that the Cailleach can shapeshift into a magpie. One for sorrow, you might have heard, but the Cailleach is neither good nor bad. Once there was a man who went to ask the Cailleach about the coldest day. He'd heard that it had happened many hundreds of years ago, and he wanted to know how cold was it? How cold was the coldest day? So off he went and sought out the Cailleach, climbing up the mountain to the cave where she was, with her 8-legged dog, her daughter as ugly as sin, and her mother an eel gliding over the floor of the cave. And he posed his question like this: "Oh, old Cailleach, can you say, how cold was the coldest day?" And he saw the breath coming out of his mouth, growing cold as the coldest day. "Old as I am," said the Cailleach, "you'll need to ask one older than I." And she told him he'd have to ask the eagle who lived in a tumble-down forge. The eagle is 300 years older than I, and he knows more than me, and he'll tell you about the coldest day. So off the man went and found the tumble-down forge, and there sat the eagle on an anvil. Yes, the eagle agreed that he was older than the Cailleach. "After I eat," he said, "I clean my beak on the peak of this old anvil, and it used to be as broad a peak as that on any anvil. Now it's as thin as a pin with all my sharpening." And seeing that the eagle was indeed old, the man posed his question like this: "Oh, old eagle, can you say, how cold was the coldest day?" And he saw the breath coming out of his mouth, growing cold as the coldest day. "Old as I am," said the eagle, "you'll need to ask one older than I." And he told him to ask the otter of the rock, who was 500 years older than he. So off the man went, and after a bit of a search, he found the otter of the rock basking. She had worn away the rock so hollow that he couldn't see her rising above it. It was as if the rock itself spoke. Yes, the otter agreed that she was older than the Cailleach and older than the eagle. "I've been basking on this rock every day of my life, and now I am so old that I've worn the rock away into a hollow that hides me." And seeing that she was indeed old, the man posed his question like this: "Oh, old otter, can you say, how cold was the coldest day?" And he saw the breath coming out of his mouth, growing cold as the coldest day. "Old as I am," said the otter, "you'll need to ask one older than I." And she told him to ask the half-blind salmon, who was 700 years older than she. So off the man went to find the half-blind salmon. He stood by the river bank and gazed into the water. And seeing that the salmon was one with the water, he posed his question like this: "Oh, old salmon, can you say, how cold was the coldest day?" And he saw the breath coming out of his mouth growing cold as the coldest day. "Ah," said the half-blind salmon, "yes, indeed I can help you. I'm older than the Cailleach and the eagle and the otter of the rock, and I was there on the coldest day, and I remember it well. I leapt out of the river to catch a fly, and between my leaping and my landing, the river froze. And as I lay stone cold on the thick ice, a raven came and took the eye out of my head. And blood poured out that thawed the ice, so I slid back deep. And that's what happened on the coldest day." The man turned away, satisfied that he had his answer about the cold of the coldest day. But the salmon continued to speak. "The coldest day fell on Beltane, May Day, and it was the first day of the world, and it was a Monday. The man headed on his way as the flash of a black and white bird saw him off the premises." Machair. Eyebright. The way you might be born, called bittersweet, but you don't know that yet. The way you sang with your birds from your cot before you knew about speech. The way speech was another planet, but a funny one. When you first said the word, for you it went with food, so you dribbled out luck from the stars to the earth. Bog cotton. To weave the bog cotton into a shirt, wouldn't it take fine fingers? Wouldn't you need time on your hands to tease those brittle strands over a cut? Wouldn't you need to be an optimist to spin away a charm like that? Hasn't the bog the patience of a saint to grow hare's tails from mud? Sea campion. Though it's a game to turn those little devil's hatties inside out, and look, a ballerina washerwoman with her arms held up to heaven. Keep your distance from the cliff edge, where the dead men's bells become the witches' thimbles. Cuckoo flower. Tell me, which came first? The lilac petals of Our Lady's smock and the compass that they pointed to? Or the sing-song of the cuckoo, telling tales about the wain who tore them from their roots? devil's bit scabious. Flattered as I am to have a flower named after me, I've better things to do than to nibble all those roots, and more to worry about than you humans, with your plagues and skin diseases and how you might cure them or not. Though it's a pretty enough flower, I'll grant you that, with a light of its own and as old as the hills. I wish you a good storm. I wish you a good storm, your hiding place, your safety net, your purpose lost. I wish you a vast desert, mesmerizing in its nothingness, just the one rock. I wish you an uneven mountain, a weighing pallet to take the weight of your heart. I wish you a monstrous red-winged cherub, your intercessor. I wish you a name to call, a scream, when death's throat is at your throat, that your furious knight casts off his shining armour, sharpening lightning's arrows, flaming retribution, make scudding clouds pass over your flimsy pavilion. To be in front of what meets you, I wish you torrents to sweep you downstream, your cry encompassed by the blast of the breath of the roar of your help. Your trembling is your sure foundation, your storm a good one, heard in the heave and thrust of heaven, soothed by quaking earth and seething fountains, by sulphurous steam from furious nostrils, tempered by geothermal waters, coloured by writhing primitive algae, nurtured by hailstones and kindling brimstone, your feet like hinds, your hands spread wide, receive the miraculous bow of your arms. I now invite you to close your eyes and to listen to the wind brought to you by the goddess Cailleach. Imagine that she speaks to you through the winds in patterns and riddles. Remember your question that you asked and possibly wrote down, or take a moment now to ask a question. Then listen to the oracle of wind, as in the shivers and noise and sound, you might hear your answer. 2 ravens sent out. They circle the earth for you, from dawn when you send them out to dusk when you fret if they'll ever be back. What news? News of war and the rumour of war. Word of who it was who carried the standard banner and how they too met their end. Word of the ragged banner with its own black flapping bird. What news? Famine and the rumour of famine, and word of the morsels of bread and fish that were shared, and word of who was fed. What news? Flood and the rumour of flood, and who it was who left the lid off the well, and how rapidly the water gushed from the clouds around the mountain. A few words in your ear from your 2 ravens, and you've seen it all, heard it all. A few words, and your 2 ravens, thought and mind, have returned, are perched on your shoulders, and you've never had to stir from the seat of where you were. On the day of the great storm, thought and mind took to the highest of the winds and brought you back the scent of apples, and furthermore, word of gold at the end of the rainbow. Sure enough, there's gold at the end of the rainbow. Not solid metal in a pot, but swirling and light and flexible, and you can fly right through it as they did, as if it were a mist. In fact, your ravens tell you the whole rainbow too is like that, diffused, spread through time. All the possibilities are fanned out in front of you. You can chase which one you want to concentrate on, and further as you focus, something else that you'd forgotten with your shallow, dull eye, that every swirling mist, from the volatile sense of an apple's decay to the gases surrounding a planet, contain what's measured in the rainbow. Happiness is where your luck is at, with your beloved ravens, thought and mind, bringing to you all you used to know, the whole of evening, hearkening back. Gannet Rock. Fate whispers to the warrior, "You cannot withstand this storm." And the warrior whispers back, "I am the storm." Maybe at birth I was a boat, setting sail on the sea of the waves that happened to me. Or maybe I was the wave itself, connected with all the water there is. And I could aim for that rock over there and see what the weather brings my way. There used to be shamans who worked with the wind. They'd carefully gather it into knots, and you could pay them for a string, and you'd undo the knots at sea to brace yourself, to get your breath on the crest of a wave of the shocking nerve that you'll withstand. You are the wave. You tell yourself that there's no harm in the unexpectedness of rain, though the randomness of where and when a drop might fall has been described in an equation, here and there. Since nothing ever comes from nowhere, and there's no sound without a source, the circling seabirds contain the proof, the way that knot could store the wind. The puffins and the cormorants, the leeches, petrels, herring gulls, the fulmars, all fulfill the energy invested and released in them. But gimlet eyes make up the rock, where clacking prehistoric beaks of gannets guard their modicum of space before they plunge through you, the wave. The Cailleach of Wool. Once, a good few centuries ago now, there was an old woman. She'd never been young, only ever old. She sat in her round room in a tower with arched windows overlooking the sea. It was her job to spin wool in a tower in a round room. Susan was very placid, only her fingers moved. They say that the work of the fingers is what reaches the soul. Well, that's as maybe, It seemed that only her fingers moved. The rest of her sat in her skirts on her seat by her spinning wheel. The old woman speaks. Susan is my real name. People are afraid of me. Why were they afraid of me? I had the answers. They called up, and I decided if they should be ignored or answered. I was a sort of oracle. How did I know the answers? In the wool that I was spinning, if it resisted or not, if it was thick or thin, I knew whatever I felt. It was easy to give a yes or no answer. If the wool went thick, no. If it went thin, yes. Sometimes it went too thin and broke. That meant the extreme end of something, yes, but it would still break. Could I get any other sorts of answers from the wool? If I spread out the wool flat when wet, I could look at the pictures in the weave. I could use my fingers to create pictures. I didn't tell people I could create pictures with the wool. I could see deep into a scene. Their questions were so boring, yes or no. Should I marry so-and-so? Should I go into business with so-and-so? I didn't understand what I saw. It was the universe swirling like clouds. It had no meaning for my life either. I was Susan. I had no patience with these stupid people. I liked to be by myself with my wheel. I was close to the heavens. I never went out from my tower room. Me and the wool, we were close to the sea. Real things don't speak with words. They swirl like clouds and patterns. It's patterns that matter, not words. Patterns are everlasting and eternal. Words aren't. Patterns don't have sharp edges. If it has a sharp edge, it's man-made. Patterns have no 90-degree angles, no straight lines, they swirl. Even words have edges. Is there anything else about the patterns? The colours are iridescent. When they're all added up, you get white. The colours can be distinguished, but the final result is white. That's why my wool was white. It was condensed patterns and condensed information. I could tease the wool out to get the real pattern, but people asked stupid yes or no questions. Do the people matter? No, nor I. What does matter? Just the wool matters. Why? The wool is the condensed pattern. Squash the pattern all up, end up with wool. Pattern is when you tease things out to look at it. That's a human action. Otherwise, it's just white wool. It's just there if there's nobody to look at it, just wool. It comes out of the cradle of the universe. Susan is shaking out her apron. You've had more than your time. She's given us all we need. She was a Cailleach, an old woman. She didn't heal people, she tholed them. Was Susan ever young? Susan was only ever old. Mostly she looked at the patterns, they were fascinating to her. And Susan was her real name. She sat in her round room in a round tower with arched windows overlooking the sea, and she spun. As we approach the end of the performance, I would like to thank our audience on behalf of all our Modern Chants team for your participation, imagination and contributions. We hope this performance will inspire you to look for flowers, listen to the winds and feel the presence of the Cailleach, which is so strong at this time of year. We will soon hear the last piece of music by Gemma McGregor, the Blackbird Pageant. Gemma described this piece. The Blackbird Pageant is a celebration of the birds that I saw and heard in my garden during lockdown. A lady blackbird lives in the sycamore tree in my garden and was quite dictatorial to all the other birds that visited. It was a pleasure to hear birdsong because there was a lot less traffic and few planes. The solo viola imitates the birds and references the hardanger fiddle from Norway that allows its double-stopped chords to ring on. Just before the piece, take a look at these birds native to Orkney and listen to their song. Try to remember their songs and see if you can recognise them in the piece of music which will follow.
Thank you.